Okay, thank you. First meeting in the month, July 11th, 2022. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And a moment of silence for all the men and women who sacrificed their lives for us to stand here today and represent our town and our country. Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I'll make that motion. Approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Motion to approve the June 27, 2022 Town Board meeting minutes.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Authorize the payment of bills in the amount of $119,073.93.
I make the motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Any comments on the agenda? Anybody? John? I had no presentations tonight, so we're going to get right into our reports. So supervisor report for July 2022. Met with representatives from Bayside and residents of Purdy Avenue, discussion of blasting versus hammering the rock during the project site work. Bayside developers are going back to the planning board and they are asking if they are able to blast the rock rather than what is on their site plan approval, which is hammering the rock. Just so the board knows that if they have to do the hammering of rock, that could be 15 solid weeks of that. So that's what we wanted to make sure the residents are understanding, that they're going to hear that for 15 weeks straight.
Well, they should be used to it from the other place.
Plus then it's gonna roll over into the school year. So blasting would take, I don't know why this is doing this tonight, but blasting takes about 5 days. Maybe that's why everybody's got theirs on. Takes about 5 days. And when we say blasting, it's not blasting where they're blowing out the side of a mountain. It's more of fracturing. So they fracture the rock so they could actually peel it off. But anyway, that's going to be up to the planning board, and there'll be a public hearing, and then they'll make the decision. And attended at that meeting were Councilman Zambito, Highway Superintendent Alonji, and Building Inspector Tom Corcoran, and all the residents of Purdy Avenue, most of them. Met with our Milton Landing Pier Committee, discussed the details of my negotiations with Eric DeSalt from American Cruise Line. Attendees were Deputy Supervisor Appler, Howard Baker, Rosemary Wine, and Jerry Wine. I should hopefully by next meeting have something for the board to approve or not approve, or it might be the meeting after. We're at the contract level right now, so in theory we agreed on everything that I would like to present the board, and the contracts are being written up by the attorney right now, his attorney, and then our attorney has to review. Attended the Marlborough Elementary School moving up ceremony and the DARE presentation by Officer Fulton. Another great year for our DARE program, and thank you, Kurt, for all you do for our students. He does a great job every year. Met with Johanna Garcia from Lynn Bland Expeditions at the Milton Landing Pier to discuss the possibility of Lynn Bland Cruises docking at the pier. This is a second cruise line company that BJ Mickelson actually has been touring around the town. He's been doing a lot of legwork, and we actually met down at the pier and had a really good discussion. And attendees were Deputy Supervisor Appler and BJ Mickelson. So thanks to BJ. We'll see where that goes. Met with Spectrum Representative Franco Alfronte to discuss the policy of bringing internet and Wi-Fi service to the Cluett Chance Park. Attendees were Chief Kokoza and Gary Lazaroff, who were on the IT committee. Just to give you guys a heads up, I did get a response back from their estimates. Everybody knows that if you're in the park, the Wi-Fi is really bad. When we have camp, there is no Wi-Fi or internet. So, but anyway, they came back with a number that I think is crazy. It's $1,200 a month, so I don't perceive us doing that. So, yeah, it's a little crazy. It's $1,200 a month. I mean, obviously they got to run the wire from 9W all the way into the park. It's not just coax. It's fiber, but still $1,200 is out of control. Like I told Franco, we technically only use the park for the most part for 4 to 5 months of the year, where it's a lot of people. So we could not even possibly entertain that. So we're going to go back to square one and see if we could do something else. So met with Jeff Aldridge and Patty Brooks at Youngs Field to go over the property boundary lines. This was our preliminary meeting at the site to start the process so Youngs Field can be donated to the town of Marlborough by the Young and Aldridge family. So I have a preliminary agreement with Jeff that they will be donating Youngs Field to the town of Marlborough. It's not official yet. Nothing's official till we get legal documents in place, but we went over the boundaries, what we needed, and Patty will be working on that. So we'll see what happens then.
I spoke with Jeff after you guys met. He's liquidating all his property, so like that's what he's trying to do. He's moving to South Carolina.
Yep. Yeah, so he's splitting up all his properties. I think he's on the planning board for the next meeting. He's splitting up the property, so it was good timing that we asked. And this way, you know, just so you know, Ma Young always wanted Young's Park to be Young's Park forever. It was part of his deed that would be Young's Park forever. And he said you couldn't sell it, but he didn't say you couldn't donate it. So that's what we're going at, is that if it's a town of Marlborough owned facility, that it would always be Young's Park, because it, you know, generations down the line, the kids, they might not want to see it that way, but the town of Marlborough is going to be here forever. So, and there'll be some kind of deed restriction in there. If the town of Marlborough decided they did not want to utilize it for that purposes, it would revert back to the family. So there's some assurances for him also. So, okay, so attended the rebidding opening for Tomback building renovations with engineer Phil Bell, Denise Bell, Chief Kokoza, and Deputy Town Clerk Daniel Cherubini. And Colleen, you were there too, right? How come I don't have you on here? Town Clerk Colleen Corcoran. The rebids were open on June 28th at 2 p.m. Phil Bell will be making his recommendations to the board in the coming weeks. Due to a very high bid on the plumbing, we have put that part of the overall bid package out to bid. The rebid opening date for the plumbing will be on July 21st, a quick turnaround at 2 o'clock. If all goes well, we should have a resolution for bid acceptance on our July 25th meeting for all 4 parts of the package: general construction, electric, plumbing, HVAC, and that's if all goes well. The other 3 bids are right now where we wanted to. The only one that's still has to be scrutinized a little more is the general construction, making sure that everything that we requested him is actually included in his bid price. So you guys got my email on that. Met with Brooklyn Bottle and CEO Eric Miller and Site Operation Manager Miles Miller, who happens to be his son, to discuss the overall operations and how to make their Milton facility more neighbor-friendly. And this came about, obviously, of course, we want to meet with Mr. Miller anyway, but this also was a meeting about the dust down at their operations. And so they told me they were going to try to, right now, at least maybe put 3/4 inch stone down, because they're having, with like everybody else, right? The COVID really hurt their business a little. And they're putting some investments into new bottling plant down there. And so he's going to try to do that. He's going to try to put some those privacy slats in the fencing for a little more privacy for the neighbors across the street. So the meeting went very well. Again, actions speak louder than words, so we will actually see if any of these things happen. If not, I definitely I'm going to follow back up with them. So it looks like Miles Miller, who's Eric's son, is going to start taking over all the operations, and he's actually the site operation manager now at the facility, so that's good. Met with the PBA contract negotiation team and their attorney. This was a follow-up on our previous meeting to discuss contract extension lengths, discuss the ideas of upcoming PBA contract negotiation. Again, their contract expires the 31st of December 2023. We are discussing possibly extending that 3 more years. So that's what came out of that meeting. They were leaning more now towards an extension rather than a full-blown contract negotiation. I expect something back from them by next month, they said, so we'll see. Met with Bob Pollock, Mike McCormick, Sue Sullivan, Bob Wilson, and Building Inspector Tom Corcoran to discuss upcoming projects and granting opportunity. There's some economic development grants that are available through the state, and Bob has hired Sue Sullivan to go after some of these granting opportunities for his projects. But in order to do that, he needs the town, because these are actually through the town, but they're for developments that are in your community. So we're working together to see if we can secure some of that money for his project so he can move forward on some of the bigger projects as he moves forward with his dream of the Milton downtown area. So, and I don't know about you, Tom, but for the first time ever, I actually felt very optimistic that he was going to be moving forward on this conference center resort that he wants to build there. So that would be a very big deal for the town of Marlborough and Milton, but we'll see. Met with John Beeham, Jason Pignaro, Matt Consorti to discuss the Milton train station walkway project. Due to supply chain issues, Consorti Brothers requesting an extension now to August 21st to complete the project. In my previous updates to the board, as you know, we had given them to June 30th to complete this project. He can't get the walkway installer because it's a special product that they use to August 13th. And then he wanted another week so he could finish up his site work. There was a pretty good discussion, sometimes a little heated discussion about fees that the town are going to be charging them for being over their time, and they wanted to charge us extra for some change orders that I reminded Matt that I never approved of, or this board never approved of. So there was some back and forth. So I at this meeting, I agreed to go to the August 21st deadline and seeing if the project's complete. If he's one day over that, then we'll revisit some of our fines and regulations and things like that. But at this point, we want to get this project completed, and we'll see by August 21st. Attended the opening day concert series at Cluett-Shantz Park, put on by the Town Recreation Committee. It was a great event. Sheridan, you guys did a great job. So a hillbilly parade performed, and food was provided by Pop's Place food truck. It was a huge success. We had an estimated 200 people. I think it could have even been more than that. Thank you to the Recreation Committee co-chairs, Arlette Porpiglia, General Lazaroff, and thank you also our committee members, Councilwoman Sesha, Tara Kupar, Christina Macaroli, Tammy Quirk, and a special thanks to Vinny Pomerico for booking all the bands and for all the concerts that he booked. And also thanks to the Boy Scouts for all their help in setting up and running the concession stands for us. So that's my report. Tom, you're up.
Building Department report, month of June 2022. Certificate of occupancy 9, request for information 29. Building extensions 22, fire inspections 12, fire calls 1, order to remedy 6, complaints 31, burn permits issued 18. Building permits 10 additions, 1 barn, 18 burn permits, 1 carport, 3 decks, 1 demo, 9 electrical, 1 fireworks, 1 furnace, 3 pools, 6 roofs, 9 sheds, 3 single-family homes, 2 solar panels, 2 tank installations, 1 pellet stove. Total permits 71. Estimated cost of building $2,779,098. Monthly income, certificate of occupancy, $1,300. Permit extensions, $10,463.50. Building permits, $13,902.24. Request for information, $5,800. Fire inspections, $800. Burn permit fees, $75, for a total income of $32,341.44.
All right, any questions for Tom? All right, thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Jerry, if everybody doesn't know, I don't know why he's here, but Jerry's a new daddy again. Congratulations to Chief Mendoza
Thank you.
for another baby boy, Gerald III,
That's correct.
Gerald Thomas. So congratulations, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
And,
Mom and baby are doing well.
That's good.
Appreciate everybody's wishes and kind thoughts.
And he came to his first concert on Friday already.
Yes. Believe it or not, we took him to the concert on Friday. I needed Antoinette to get out of the house. She was going a little stir crazy. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Well, congratulations. And here he is, hard at work.
So, activity summary for the month of June 2022, Marlborough Police Department. Motor vehicle accidents, personal injury 12, fatal 0, property damage accidents 15, for a total of 27 for the month. Summonses issued, vehicle and traffic 69, parking violations 3. Total blotter entries for the month 1,141. Total arrests for the month 16. Telephone calls handled 1,987. Overtime for full-time and part-time officers are attached. There was no overtime for dispatchers and 24 hours for part-time dispatchers. Police mileage for the month, 9,566 miles. Fuel usage, 904.855 gallons.
All right, you guys got any questions? Nothing
Okay.
else? What do you got,
Couple
Jerry?
things for the board. We need to start thinking about a date for Community Day. The calendar's filling up fast
Yep.
for September and October. So I reached out to the Marlborough Fire, and Mark Chalia is on vacation, so we won't be able to pick a date till next week.
He's with the Boy Scouts, right now, is he? Did he go?
I don't know where. They didn't tell me where he was.
think
Just said he
so.
was away. So that's coming up. We need to do that. Also, remember July 30th is the Fireman's Parade
Yep, July
through
30th.
Marlborough. Marlborough has most of that handled with traffic and stuff, but we'll be there with our department. I'm going to talk to John to see if we might be able to get some help, because all 30 members of my department, not everybody's going to be available, and I think we might run short on some of the roads, but
I'm gonna be short too, because a lot of some of my guys are on vacation.
yeah.
And some of my guys.
Some guys are in it. They're in the parade, right?
Yeah, that's part of the problem I have as well. So with that being said, I might reach out to the state police and the sheriff's department
Okay.
and get a couple of units. If nothing else, maybe to handle the calls while we're tied up on that. Just so that the board knows that the 9W is expected to be closed for about an hour. That's a long
I
time.
know it's going
for
to
our
be
parades.
not fun for people that are on 9W that
Nah.
day. Are you converting, reverting people somewhere?
We had a meeting last Saturday morning with the fire department to go over how they're gonna move traffic. They're not
Yes.
just gonna shut down.
All right, so,
All tractor trailers are gonna be parked,
Right.
but the traffic will be going up. I didn't agree with their Lions Lane. I think I'm gonna try to talk them into
Old Indian.
Indian to town to Bingham. They seem to think the Lions Lane would be easy, but I don't think so. So we've had,
Conway Road the other way,
Yeah.
to Bingham.
Yeah, I have to agree with John. I think Old Indian is probably, it's a straight run at that point, and then you're making one left rather than the multiple lefts and rights.
because if they get the Prospect Street,
Right. They're coming right back down into town.
okay, well,
And trying
I know
to
you
shut off-
guys will figure it out, but
Yeah, and
I
trying to
think
shut
I
off those
agree. I think Old
side
Indian
streets.
probably is a better turn right there too, so.
Even if you did Old Indian, northbound trucks could probably make that.
yeah, but it's at Bingham, that's bad down there, so
Yeah.
I think we're better off keeping the tractor trailers parked.
Yeah, we've done that before in the past, so that's probably a good thing. But in an hour, we can get, well, it's a Sunday, which is better, But in an hour, you could stack
Yeah.
quite a few tractor trailers. It's the 30th, whatever day it is. Saturday? Whatever, it's a Saturday. Yeah, so that's kind of a busy day, so we'll have to, we'll play with that. But we are working with the fire department on that, and, just so you're aware of it.
I'll be there. I'll be on the judge's stage. I got a nice spot.
And I'm assuming the cinema permit thing is on the agenda tonight?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. John, you're up. Oh, boy, look at him. Look
Good
like
evening,
you've been
everyone.
black topping, and you look, you're all tan.
Oh, yeah.
You're out there, huh?
Monthly report for June 2022. We completed paving on Church, Du Bois, Orange Street, Orchard, West Streets in the hamlet of Marlborough. The major paving has been completed on the section of Willow Tree and Bailey's Gap Road with just a few minor finishing details to be addressed in July. We also paved 3 water taps on Orange Street for the water department. Our mower was out throughout the month in both hamlets. The reservoir and landfill were also mowed. We spent several days working on the ball fields. She's got Youngs's Park, but it's the town.
Yeah, it's at
park,
Cluett
the town.
Chance Park, right?
Removing sod and installing clay. New concert event signs were constructed to announce the town park concerts scheduled for the summer. Unfortunately, we had to remove several dead fish from the Long Pond. And on 6/6, we sent 3 trucks to haul millings for the town of Lloyd. On 6/30, we sent 4 trucks to help town of Esopus with their paving projects. And our fuel usage was not available because Mrs.
Yeah, I know.
Son got married.
Yep, she was out. No, thank you, John. You guys did a bunch of work for us this past month, so again, appreciate you guys always stepping up when I need you, and for this board and for the town. Yeah, they redid the upper fields for us at the Cluett Chance, so they're in a lot better shape, so we could do some more things with them with Marlborough Youth Baseball. I know Councilwoman Sesha is probably happy about that. So we're looking into putting fencing up there, and you know, as we go down the line, possibly lighting and stuff, as we could get some money and grants. But they did a lot of work, and then also even reconstructed those signs for us was a biggie. And then the biggie was, unfortunately, we lost 40 of our 14-year-old carp in the Long Pond about 2 weeks ago. We had an oxygen level issue in the front pond. That's coming from low levels in the water, a lot of algae in the water, the duckweed, a combination of things. A lot of leaves that fall in there throughout the winter that actually puts more nitrates into the water and reduces the oxygen level. I got a whole education on how the oxygen levels and stuff have to be in the water. So we were at 2.5 to 3.5 oxygen level. It should be anywhere from 6 to 10 for these larger fish to survive. So a lot of them started floating, and John, I had to beg John to get his guys out
it
there
was
with
rough.
a rowboat and actually fish them all out. And they're like 30 pounds, some of these. So
And the smell wasn't pleasant.
it wasn't a smelly, it was a smelly job, put it that way. But they did it, so thank you guys. So, but we are addressing that. I've been talking to Charlie and Gary and Dave, and we're working on putting a fountain aeration system in both ponds. That's probably long overdue. Everybody doesn't want to do it because of cost, but you know, these are the reasons why you do it. So hopefully in the next couple months we'll get that completed. Charlie did some analysis for us to tell us the depth, the length, everything that we need for the pond, because you got to size it right. So we'll move forward with that. I'll be asking the board if we could do that. So.
And Scott, I just wanted to thank John and Gary and their entire team for all the work that you did at the fields. They look amazing. I know the Carmen Congeli tournament utilized them once they had been repaired, and there are hundreds of children that participate in Marlborough Youth Baseball that had a really tough time this spring with all of the rain in getting a significant portion of their season canceled due to weather. So having some other field options for them next year and in the fall will be very, very helpful. Thank you.
It was our pleasure. They are our kids.
Okay, so Water Superintendent Charlie apologized that he couldn't be here tonight. Sherry, do you want to read that?
Could ask. Okay. Water Department report, monthly report for June. Water consumption totaled 16,353,000 gallons, which is a daily usage of 545,100 gallons. Compared to last month, which was 16,314 gallons, which was a daily usage of 526,258. Compared to a year ago, water consumption was 17,400,000 gallons for the month, which is a daily usage of 580,000 gallons. Summary for the month. Curb boxes, we had to repair a curb box on Orange Street, Church Street, and West Street. Hydrants, we have been mowing grass around hydrants and applying herbicide. Sewer, we had to inspect 2 sewer hookups on Orange Street. Cliff and Charlie attended a class in Montgomery. They assisted the Highway Department with the paving of roads in the town of Marlborough by adding risers on sewer lids and valve lids. They inspected and tested water in our storage tanks on Western Avenue and also on Walnut Lane. Sewer line inspections 2, service line inspections 2, closings 6, markouts 45, gallons of gas 200, gallons of diesel 25, mileage for the month 1,800 miles. And that is submitted by Charles Maggio.
Thank you so much. And Colleen.
Okay, Town Clerk Monthly Report for June 2022. Burn permits 1 for $120, conservation 6 for $14.92, dog licenses 28 for a total of $160, transfer station permits 2 for $75, punch cards 29 for $1,845, marriage licenses 7 for $122.50, building department fees 1 for $22,426.34, fire fees 1 for $1,750, camp fees 18 for $8,350, accident reports 24 for $120, alarm permits 2 for $40, certified copies 5 for $210, clerk fees 1 for $10, FOIA requests 1 for 50 cents, peddler's license 1 for $250, for a grand total of $35,494.26.
Okay, any questions?
No, I just wanted to say, though, it was very smart for the, I don't know if it was this peddler's license or a new one, that you all posted it on Facebook and on the town feed so that everybody knew who was coming around.
Yes.
Great job.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure everybody knows
It was very
when
smart.
they come and knock on your door that it's official. Yes.
Yeah, but you got all over social media. You had a picture with him and everything.
You were all, yeah, you were up there.
You were handing him the permit. Oh yeah, you were all over social media.
No,
He was a very nice guy, very nice.
He was very nice.
no, I honestly think it avoided a lot of questions and commenting and Facebook drama, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's why he says he does that. He says he'll take a picture of him, he's not clerk, would you mind?
Here, at Water Quality Management, Ed?
July 8, 2022, for the month of June 2022, both water treatment plants compiled with all of the speeds requirements. The following are monthly statistics for both plants. Marlborough wastewater treatment plant, average daily flow equal 97,000 gallons per day, about 55% of design capacity. Average BOD removal is 96%. Average suspended solids removal is 92%. Average daily flow into Milton water treatment plant, 27,000 gallons per day, about 49% of design capacity. Average BOD removal, 93%. Average suspended solids removal, 93%. Both the Marlborough and Milton treatment plants operated normally during the month of June without any major changes or events. The average daily flow for both Marlborough and Milton has continued to lower due to less rainfall in the summer months. The flow from Marlborough facility has significantly dropped, which is likely due to the schools starting summer break. We are still waiting on fleet pump and service to repair the EQ pump for the Milton plant. We are currently operating with one pump without any issues. Overall, both wastewater treatment plants are in good working order, but are getting older. If you need any additional information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you, Julian Falco, Water Quality Management, Inc.
What's he gonna say when we actually update?
I know.
I got to call Andrew back tonight, but I don't know if you guys are aware, but there was a dog biting yesterday on Western Avenue. So he'll be updating me further on that. I don't know if, Jerry, you want to elaborate on that, but yeah, but there was a pretty bad dog bite on yesterday. So this is from the Town of Marlborough Dog Control Officer Andrew McKee. July 5th, 2022. Overview, we received a total of 15 calls this month, including 3 calls to service from the New York State Police and Ulster County Sheriffs. Responded to 3 active complaints and our cases which are now closed or resolved. We currently have 1 open case or complaint. We impounded 0 dogs this month. No appearance tickets were issued this month. There were no dog bites reported this month. Not for this month, coming. We have no dangerous dog cases in progress in the Marlborough Justice Court. All dogs in New York State are required to be licensed and have identification tags. Please contact the town clerk to license your dog and be sure to get ID tags with your address and phone number in case your pet gets or escapes. Thank you, and end the report. All right, the Town Planning Board. Oh boy. June 2022 financial report, 2022 escrow for June, $4,889.86. Invoices for June 2022, $4,082.85. Meeting June 6, 2022. Attendees: Chris Brand, Steve Clark, Cindy Lanzetta, Joe LaFaro, Bob Tronsolito, James Garofalo, and Steve Jennison. Agenda: approval of stenographer minutes from 5/2/2022. Approval for the minutes was granted unanimously. Pollock Site Plan 39, Main Street, Milton Modification Site Plan. The board unanimously agreed to add special use permit to the proposed approval resolution. The project site plan special use permit, a lot line revision amending conditional approval, was granted unanimously. Du Bois, Dave Jolly, 228 Mahoney Road, Milton, public hearing, subdivision. Public hearing was opened and closed with one neighbor asking about existing landscaping issues and how they may be rectified. The board will require the applicant to stake out the location of the proposed buildings before construction due to the tight building envelope on site. The board authorized the attorney to draft a resolution of approval for the June 21st, 2022 meeting. Verizon Marlborough High School, 50 Cross Road, Marlborough, final site plan. Member Garofano again recused himself from the Verizon portion of the meeting. The project received a secret and negative declaration of notice of determination of non-significance and approval via resolution. Garino 5 Ashland Drive, Marlborough, preliminary site plan. The board discussed the findings of the recently held on-site visit to examine existing and proposed conditions. The applicant agreed to extend the existing roadway 50 feet in order to have the access on an improved roadway. The board authorized the attorney to draft a resolution of approval for the next meeting. McKeel Maria, 34 Bingham Road, Marlborough sketch subdivision. The board asked the applicant to provide additional documentation regarding details of the private roadway on site, proposal, well, septic location, existing Central Hudson easements, agricultural notes, and driveway grading. Questions regarding a previously approved lot line revision drew questions regarding town code 134-8 of the town of Marlborough, which may preclude additional subdivisions for a regulated period of time. The town attorney, engineer, and code enforcement officer were asked to provide the board with clarification on this matter. A public hearing was scheduled for June 21st, 2022 meeting. Dane DeSantis, 226 Highland Avenue, Marlborough Sketch Site Division. The proposed subdivision received a variance for the town of Marlborough ZBA dated May 12, 2022. The board reviewed highway superintendent's comments regarding the proposed driveway. The board will require the applicant to stake out the location of the proposed building before construction due to tight building envelope on site. A public hearing was scheduled for June 21st, 2022. The board also authorized the attorney to draft a resolution of approval for the same date, bearing any significant input from the public hearing which would require modifications. Corrado Subdivision, Burma Road, Marlborough Sketch Subdivision. The proposed subdivision received a previously approved lot line revision, which again drew questions regarding Town Code 134-8 of the town of Marlborough, which may preclude additional subdivisions for the regulated period of time. Town attorney and the code enforcement officer were asked to provide board with clarification on this matter. The board also asked the applicant to either prove all resulting lots are buildable or include notes indicating the lots will not be developed at any time in the future or are to be used solely for agricultural purposes. Next deadline, Friday, June 10th, 2022. Next scheduled meeting, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. And I just want to note, this ain't on here, but section 134-8 is part of the code change that we're going to be looking at tonight because of this confusion that keeps coming up in the board, the planning board. And instead of us paying attorney to give his recommendation, and which technically isn't the legal authorization, it's the code enforcement officer who decides what the code is interpreted as. I asked the code enforcement officer to tell me what his interpretation of the code is, and we made it clarified in the new updated version that you're going to see tonight. So that way, hopefully that takes away any of the questions and it doesn't slow up the planning board process. Okay, meeting June 21st, 2022. Attendees: Chris Brand, Cindy Lanzetta, Joel Farrow, Bobby Transalito, James Garofano, and Steve Jennison. Agenda approval, stenographer minutes for the 6/6/2022 meeting. Approval for the above minutes was granted unanimously. McKeel Murray, 34 Bingham Road, Marlborough, public hearing, subdivision, the town of Marlborough. CEO and attorney Jeff Battistani both agreed the project did not violate, I think they said CEO, that means the code enforcement officer, right? I don't know what the CEO is. That's what they have in their thing, it says CEO. But it's a code enforcement officer, just so you know. CEO. You didn't realize that. Both agreed the project did not violate any portions of the code and could proceed. The public hearing was opened with 2 adjoining property owners inquiring about the proposed subdivision. After the questions were answered, the public hearing was closed. The board authorized their attorney to draft approval resolution for the next meeting. Dana DeSantis, 226 Highland Avenue, Marlborough public hearing, subdivision. The public hearing was open and closed with no input from the public. The proposed subdivision was granted secret negative declaration and notice of termination of non-significance and final approval unanimously. $2,000 in recreation fees were also approved. Du Bois Dave Jolly, 228 Mahoney Road, Milton final subdivision. The proposed subdivision was granted a secret negative declaration and notice of determination of non-significance and final approval unanimously for $4,000 in recreation fees were also approved. See, the good thing about all these things is we keep getting some recreation fees, so that's good. Garino, 5 Ashland Drive, Marlborough final site plan. Proposed subdivision was granted a secret negative declaration and notice of determination, non-significance, and final approval unanimously. $2,000 in recreation fees were also approved. Corrado Subdivision, Burma Road, Marlborough Sketch Subdivision. The town of Marlborough CEO and attorney Jeff Battistani both agreed the project did not violate any portions of the code and could proceed. However, the applicant was provided due notice that any additional subdivisions on site would incur a 3-year waiting period. The applicant agreed that this notification will be made on final maps as well, any resolutions of approval. The applicant agreed to provide percolation test for the large parcel and provided the results to engineer Pat Hines for review and ensure it is a buildable lot. The applicant was also asked to review the short form EAFs to ensure no additional information was required. A public hearing was scheduled for July 18, 2022. Bayside, 18 Bristol Avenue, Marlborough, amend the site plan. No representative was attended. An applicant amended site plan. Proposal will be heard on the July 18, 2022 meeting. Conceptual site plan discussion with engineer. Mitchell M and CO, 1559 Route 9W, Burton Avenue, Marlborough sketch site subdivision. Although the board does not typically entertain conceptual discussions with the engineer in attendance for subdivision, it was agreed to allow the applicant to proceed as he was in attendance and fully prepared to do so. The applicant professionally reviewed the preliminary details for the proposed 7-lot subdivision at the above address. He was given some technical advice on his application and stormwater prevention options at the site. He was advised to submit a formal application to proceed. Next deadline, Friday, June 24, 2022. Next scheduled meeting, Monday, July 4, 2022. Respectfully submitted, Chris Band, Chairman of the Marlborough Planning Board. Thank you. Okay. Now we're on to committee reports. Recreation Committee, Councilman Sessions, you want to add anything?
No, as you said, the first concert in the park went very well. There are 3 concerts yet to be had. This Friday, July 15th, is an 80s cover band, Cold Flavor, with an additional food truck, a different food truck than last week. Then on July 22nd, there's the Soul Purpose 70s band, and July 29th is the main event with the Alpha Male Gorillas playing Cousin's Maine Lobster food truck and the famous fireworks. So that is the primary focus of the committee at this point, although they are working on future events as well.
Yes, we are. Okay. Emergency Management Preparedness Committee, no further updates we have on that. Conservation Advisory Committee, Mickey, would you like to speak about what I sent you? Thank you. So just so your board is aware, I forwarded Mickey the information that we got last meeting about the lighting, proposed lighting ordinance, and I asked the CAC committee if they were interested in looking into it. So
I did email Nikki to hopefully set up a preliminary meeting with her and then to present to a new CAC committee or whatever new members I can gather, but I wanted to get that information first. I do have 2 other town members who are already interested in reviewing this situation, and from what I know of it, it sounds like a very, very good project for us to do. So thank you for giving us a job.
see, I gave you a job finally.
Thank you.
No, thank you guys for doing that. That would be good. So thank you. IT committee, I did shock you all with our $1,200 a month Wi-Fi. So that ain't happening anytime soon. But we'll follow up on that, Jerry, right? And see if we could, again, maybe we could just put coax back there and figure out something. But I have to have a follow-up with Franco, and we'll have that probably in a week or so. Milton Train Station Foundation, I have not gotten anything from them on that. Milton Landing Citizens Committee, again, nothing on that except for like we're moving forward on our American Cruise Line, and Libland also is looking at coming in here in the fall also for cruises. And we're also moving forward with our granting of the whole landing. And again, that probably won't start till next year. Rosemary and Jerry and Gail have Also been working on the kayak launch that we're going to have a meeting with that, right, Gail, in a few weeks to go over some of that. So we're moving forward down there, and hopefully we could get this all tied up in the next year or so. Marlborough Hamlet Economic Development Committee, I have not got anything from them. Meet Me in Marlborough, that's what I was looking for. So this is from Meet Me in Marlborough, July 11th. Meet Me in Marlborough Town Board Report monthly. Month of July promotional newsletter was emailed and shared over a social media platform to Meet Me in Marlborough's recipients. Meet Me in Marlborough's new member promotion, Jordan Rose Palumbo, Marata Hazel Rose Baking Company Inc. in Marlborough. Tuesday, July 26th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Marlborough Networking and Community Update event held at the Bricks Gastro House, Marlborough. Meet Me in Marlborough members and local businesses are welcome to attend. For more information, email, and there's the email address. Meet Me in Marlborough Events Committee is played, the following upcoming events. Saturday, 10/1, rain date, Sunday, 10/2, the Bounty Festival at Cluett Chance Park. Well, there you go, Jerry, as far as kind of like fitting that in with our day. We got to make sure. Saturday, 10/31, kids and adults trick or treat at the Hamlet in Marlborough. Sheridan, we got to work that into our trunk or treat, right? Saturday, 11, and doesn't have an actual date, but yeah, I don't know. Buy local event at the Marlborough Elementary School, which they have every year. We invite community businesses, civic and school groups, not-for-profit to participate in the events. Newsletter, Meet Me in Marlborough. And this is kind of like what they put out. So they do a good job of promoting a lot of our local businesses, and they have a lot of followers in their newsletters, so they do a good service. Hamlet of Milton Association Committee, I haven't gotten anything from them recently. Transfer Station Review Committee, I could tell you that with the help again from the Highway Department, we have started our removal of the tires that the DEC is required. We have a 2-year time frame to remove all tires. At the transfer station, we removed 856 or 860 of them in our last go-around. They got back to us, the company that took them from us, and they didn't like the condition the tires were in, that they were too muddy. So now I had to ask John to go up there this Sunday with two of the guys, and they had to pick out another 850 tires out of the mud and dirt, and they had to lay them across the ground, and now we got to get them all hosed off before we could actually put them in the trailer. So it's an ongoing thing. So, but by the end of the year, we're going to probably remove about 1,800, 1,900 tires, which is good. You think that's a lot, but we have a lot of tires up there. So we're probably going to need 2 more loads after that. So it's a process. But we're working with the DEC. I actually sent the DEC our invoice and letter of removal today, so they're aware of it. So we're keeping on top of that. Old business is just the Tomback rehabilitation update. It's kind of was in my report. Again, bids were open. The 3 bids that we have for general construction, electric, and HVAC, if all work out after their interviews and preliminary reviews, we probably will move forward with those 3. The plumbing has gone out to bid again. That's due back on the 21st. So by next board meeting, if that number comes in and everything looks good, we should be able to start moving forward on this project. Again, I'm going to be updating the board on it as the numbers come in. As you know, I've already sent you some preliminary numbers, and we are obviously going to have to spend some of our own money other than just the grant money, and I'll come up with the whole configuration of how we're going to do that, so you guys could be aware. I don't want to, my opinion is I don't want to bond out or borrow money. I'd like to try to do it with the money we have. The more you borrow, the more we pay, right? So, new business, July 25th meeting, change location to upstairs conference room. So the reason why this is on here is because this, as you know, the school district does a lot of their building repairs during the summer, and this year they're going to be doing the floors in here. So it wouldn't be good for us to be in here because we have just finished the floors, and they gotta dry for about a week really. So are you guys okay with having the meeting upstairs July 25th? You're not, Dave? You want to have it down here? Okay. So I don't think I need a motion, but I mean, I'll ask that you have a motion that we move our meeting July 25th to upstairs conference room.
I'll make a motion to move the meeting upstairs July 25th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, so everybody knows. Board of Assessment Review advertised for open position. So one of the committee members on the Board of Assessment Review is up. They'll probably put in their letter to be back on it, but we also still have to put it out for advertisement in case other people are interested. So I need a motion to advertise for the open position of Board of Assessment Review.
I'll make the motion to advertise for the open position on the Board of Assessment Review.
I'll second.
All in favor?
You're a little slow here, right?
No, I was waiting.
And just so the board's aware, it's Joan Delatorne's position right now that's up, but I would assume Joan's going to want to reapply. But. Correspondence. So, two things in correspondence. So one is from the Marlborough Democratic Committee Chairman Ted Miller, and what Ted and their committee is doing is they would like to hold, I'll just read it. The MDC would like to host a voter registration drive somewhere visible in the town, preferably on September 10th, from approximately 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is part of a larger county-wide initiative to register more voters time in the midterm elections. The event will be nonpartisan, non-political candidates will be invited. We're asking for suggested locations for high visibility, like the town hall, for example, that may be able to accommodate us. I look forward to your response, and that's from Ted Miller, Chairman of the Democratic Committee. So I did respond back to Ted that personally, I think the Marlborough Library is a very good spot for it. Again, they have an electronic sign out front. They could advertise for it. There's parking. It's a public space. But I told them I would ask the board if they wanted to actually have it at the town hall. It's up to you guys. So I'm asking. It's up to you. Anything?
I'm fine with the library. I think it's a better place for it to be.
The library?
Library.
I'm fine with either location. I would just make the suggestion also, though, that since it's a nonpartisan event, that perhaps the Conservative Party and Republican Party committees would want to participate in that as well.
Yeah, I think that would be, if it was at the town hall, I think that would probably have to be a caveat of it. I think just to make sure that it's a nonpartisan type of an event, because we all want people to vote, we all want people to register, so I don't think it's a bad idea.
No, more people voting is never a bad thing. That's great. So,
anybody against having it at town hall? That's all. Because I'll give them the option. I mean, I just really personally think the library is a good spot, but if it's available here and we could have it here, that's fine too. So, all right. So what I'll do is I already emailed him back that, you know, my opinion. I'll tell him that the board doesn't have an issue with the town hall. It's just that if it's at the town hall, that all registered party representation should be at. That's all. And actually, it should be at anywhere it's being held, just to make it nonpartisan. So, okay, I'll let them know. Thank you. All right, and so the next thing I have is, it came in today, is a Poker Face TV series. Wants to film in the town of Marlborough. And so what happens, we have an application permit. I don't know if all board members are aware that if there's filming in the town of Marlborough, we do have an application permit. for that, and there is no actual number that we put on that application permit for fees. Well, we typically have been charging in the past, like I have some of the ones when Real Housewives were here, and American Court was here, and we charged $200. So I'm going to recommend to the board that we charge Poker Face the $200. Basically, what they're doing is they need to access Old Indian Road and Latin Town Road, and down at the Marlborough Yacht Club. There's going to be some scenes down there with a boat taking off and a police officer chasing them or something like that. But the chief of police was notified of this, the fire chiefs were notified of this, John Alongi was notified of this, so in our applications, we all have to sign off on it. Jerry had some good comments. Obviously, Latin Town Road is not a town road, so we can't give approval that they could go on there, so they got to get approval from the county. I noticed I just got Eric's approval from the Marlborough Firehouse today. I think Jerry's okay with it as long as...
Well, with that, I have some concerns. If you look at the
Go ahead.
path that they provided,
Yeah, the path, I saw it.
yeah, so they're starting with Ship Lane, and they're supposed to go up on the new road.
I can't see it on this one, it's not good.
So they're proposed to go up on the new road to the west,
Yep,
to Latin Town, north on Latin Town to Milton Turnpike, east on Milton Turnpike to 9W south back to the Ship Lane Head. If they're gonna have a motorcade of film cars and whatever they're doing that entire distance, that is a traffic nightmare that we're not gonna be able to.
what, from how Danielle explained it to me is they would like, obviously, you, police department, to provide one car behind, one car in front, and I think they have one truck that films as they drive.
Yeah, obviously if they have a truck that they're filming, there's something that they're filming, so if this whole thing is driving
Yeah.
around,
Yeah,
the 7 miles,
Who's,
people aren't gonna be able to cover the intersections, they're
Yeah.
not gonna stop filming at an intersection. There needs to be more discussion. 'Cause
yeah, I think we have to have more discussion on that part of
well,
it.
first of all, you're talking about a $200 permit. Who's going to incur the cost of him putting extra guys on?
So,
We could incur whatever we want.
They will? And what about, and what about insurances? Do they provide us with insurance certificates?
that's already-
Because I've heard horror stories about things like this, where somebody gets hurt on somebody's private property, and they not get the proper lawyer, and they pull in the town, you guys, the property owner, gets tied up for 2 years, somebody's trying to sell their house, they can't sell their house because there's a lawsuit against them. I mean, I'm not against it, but let's cover all our bases before we just be nice people and say, yeah, come on in and let's
No,
go.
it's all covered in our application fee, Dave. It's like, of course, we thought about all this. This is stuff that's always part of the equation. No one can do anything under the town of Marlborough without having insurance and all that. That's all covered. The problem, what I think what Jerry's saying is, and it's a good point, is if it's a 7-mile hike around the town,
One town road, two
Yeah.
counties, one state, one town.
yeah,
so when I spoke with Danielle this morning, she told me 733 Latin Town Road, which is the flats, and 444 Old Indian Road, which is somewhere up at the top.
Yeah.
So then I go through the application, figured it could be talked about tonight, I see this loop. Well, now you have 2 county roads and a
Yeah.
state road, which I would imagine we're all going to need to get permits on, and there's no way that's going to happen by July 19th. And I don't understand.
Did you also notice that it says 150 personal crew vehicles? That's a lot of vehicles.
Again, this is why we brought it up tonight. They just brought it in today. This is what we typically do, and then we have to get everybody to be okay with it. Now, again, we haven't heard back from the Milton Fire Chief, right? And we haven't heard, haven't heard anything from you, John, that you were against it, but I've heard a few things from Jerry, and these are part of it. So I think no, I know, you said you're not against it.
Requesting 2 officers for that, for the
Yeah, they covered
Latin
that.
Town Road. For the Latin Town Road, Old Indian Road, plus the local police presence at the yacht. What's that?
They should pay above and beyond the permit fee.
They will be paying.
No, they pay the officers.
They pay you directly, and they'll pay for those officers via the union directly.
They pay for that. Ours is just a blanket, like, it's an application, just like we have at the park or anything else, as far as a fee that we charge, like, the, per day. Again, we could charge, I mean, there is no actual number in the fee, it's the board's discretion, right? So I'm just giving you what we typically have charged in the past for just a fee is $200. They provide the monies that have to, for the police, they pay for that separately. They fully insure through the town. They give us all their insurance. But I think my opinion is they have to talk directly with the chief and get a better understanding of where we're going. I don't think anybody's against this, but I would say I would make a motion that approval based on everybody agreeing to it, which is in our documentation. I'll tell you who has to agree to it, just so, because obviously we're not going to meet again before before they need the approval. So the supervisors got approved, the highway superintendent's got approved, the town clerk got approved, the police chief's got approved, the fire department has to approve, and the building department has to approve. So I would make a recommendation that we impose a $200 fee for the application fee, and based on everybody giving their approval, that we would grant the approval of them to do this project. So that's what I would recommend.
And we have to state it when the county.
Again, it would be based on everybody approving it. So we're not going to approve it unless the county approves it, right? So
How are we gonna know that they do or don't?
they're going to have to provide it.
I can tell you right now, there's no way they're gonna get a permit from the state.
I don't know how they're going to get it right now.
No way.
But
We're applying for permits 4 months before parade.
the thing is, we can't give approval on a county road. We could give approval on a town road. So maybe they have to reconfigure their route, let's put it that way.
You know, the last thing I wanna do is say I'm okay with it, and then go ahead and do this.
No, I agree, Jerry.
Violation of the state and county ordinance of some sort.
I agree.
We approve it.
So maybe the conversation tomorrow is, can you reconfigure your route? Now, I don't know how you can reconfigure that loop.
I definitely need to conversate with him to figure out why it is this loop, which are only looking to film in 2 spots. So once I get more information, maybe this is just the route they're going to bring their traffic, I don't know. But based on the description, it seems to me as if they were starting at the shift, doing this loop, coming back to the shift with this film truck of some sort, and whatever it is that they're filming.
Yeah.
That's great, but I can't handle the intersections with 2 guys. It's just not going to work. Even if it's only 4 or 5 vehicles.
Well, I think that's a conversation that has to be had. I mean, if it takes 4 guys, then it takes 4 guys and they got to pay for 4 people, right? I mean, that's on them. But I'm going to make a motion that we approve this application based on if all parties in the application agree that they're okay with it. But I'm going to ask the board that I can sign off on it if those requirements are met by all department heads. So
My only comment would be $200 seems a little light for the amount of background work that everybody in this group is doing to vet this out. I mean, that's hours not spent on other things.
Have we reached out to other towns to see just how they do it?
same way, we do this.
Lloyd always has all kinds of things going on, just
This is how we got to the application. We reached out to all different towns and how they do it. Most towns don't charge much for application fees. I'm just telling you, they don't. I know you guys are saying it's late, but most towns charge like $100. It's not like a lot of money.
I understand that if they're filming like the Real Housewives or filming at Weeds and they pull in and do that on private property and leave versus this tying up roads and logistics.
Look, just tell me what fee you want and I'll tell them. It doesn't really matter. But you just tell me a fee and I'll tell them that's the fee. And if they decide they don't want to film here, they don't film here. But that's what I'm recommending is the $200 because that's what we always charge. I don't have another thing to guide by because we've only had it a few times. So if you guys want to charge more, you tell me a number and I'll put that number down. And if they decide they want to pay it, they can. If they don't, then we don't have to have that conversation, Jared. So you give me a number and that's the number I'll put down.
That's my vote, but if I'm alone, it's okay.
Well, you make your recommendation, Councilwoman.
My recommendation is based on the hours spent. This is not me saying that we should just throw an arbitrary number out there, but based on the hours that have spent on recon on this already, plus Jerry's additional time to vet out all of these logistics, that it sounds like a $500 fee to me.
I need a second.
I'll second.
You all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Then that's the application fee, and we'll go from there and see what they say.
Danielle was able to forward me contact information for somebody involved in this. Not sure if it's the same person who submitted the application.
Yeah, it's the same
But I will
person.
reach out tomorrow and I will discuss with state and county.
All right, good.
And Jerry, if it ends up being a 5-minute conversation and it's easy breezy, I mean, I think we could resolve over email. If it really is not that cumbersome, we could reduce it back to 200. I'm just anticipating the back and forth on
Oh, no, it's
this.
500 now.
All right.
We made a motion. Stick with it. Okay, that's all I got for correspondence. Public comments. Anybody else got any public comments? Come on up there, Ms. Simonowski.
Mickey Simonowski, Marlborough, New York. I just want to publicly thank John Alonji and the highway crew. I live on Orchard Street, and the paving is beautiful. None of the neighbors were inconvenienced. They did it quickly, and it's very, very nice. And all the other roads in town look great. So thank everybody for us, please. And the second comment I wanted to make is, like, it's very exciting to be able to say that Young's Park will be part of Marlborough's assets. But I just want to also remind you that with every asset, there are costs. So my thought process was, who's going to maintain it, and are we going to have to figure out in the future some
Yep.
kind of a maintenance manager for all of our town properties as they grow, especially with
Right
the
now, I'm
dock
also-
and everything?
Yeah, we're working with Marlborough Youth Baseball we'll have an agreement with them to kind of basically what they do now.
What they do now, yeah.
So, yeah, that's always a question.
That's always the
Maintaining.
question.
Everybody likes to
That's always the question,
acquire things,
yeah.
but maintaining them sometimes we lack on. So it's definitely a concern.
Yeah.
But what this does do is it gives us the ability to invest in the property if we get granting opportunities that present themselves, right? So if there's park granting opportunities, now we could invest in the field to put lights or different things that a lot of the Marlborough Youth Baseball League and other people have been asking for many years. It's just the cost is so high that that group itself can't afford to do it. And what I told Jeff was, we can't invest in any kind of property that we don't
That you don't
own,
Yeah.
right? So the only way around that is to go this route, and then we could look for opportunities of money that we can do that. So, as you know, my family's big into baseball. I know Councilwoman Sessions big into baseball. I know Mr. Malinelli's big into baseball. So I think Dave likes baseball, but he takes care of the field right now.
He's big into maintaining the
maintenance.
fields.
But I mean, my vision, and I think the board's vision is to expand the field usage to where we could actually have tournaments in our town. Tournaments bring people, brings revenue, brings feet into our town, opens their eyes up to other things that are in our town. So the more people you could get here, make a little money on doing that and having fun is always a good thing. So, the vision is to get the upper fields to the same level as Young's Field, and then we have 3 fields where you could actually utilize and have these tournaments. So, and that's what the highway guys did. We went down and we measured the dimensions of Young's, and we duplicated that up at the park. And then the next step is the fence, which is very expensive right now, but we'll see what we could do. The county is actually looking into some kind of a park granting system, and they haven't got there yet, but they're looking to utilize some money for granting for towns for park use. So if we could get that money, and then we're halfway there. So
Very excited about the prospect. And I know at one of our community service salutes, we did honor Mr. Ed Young for all of his continuous donation to the town of that. So I'm really happy that it's going to still remain Young's Park. That's great.
They used to do their fireworks there too.
Yeah, oh, I remember as a kid. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So thank you very much. And I'm glad we had a chance to expound on that a little bit more so that people who are watching this online hopefully get to know what's going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Let's.
Whoever maintains all the trails and the new parks we have in town, probably maintain.
Yeah. Well, eventually, Tom, yeah. I know what you're going at. All right. Let's get to Resolution 61. Appoint summer camp employees. Supervisor Corcoran proposes the following. Be resolved the following employee be appointed for the 22 summer camp. Youth Counselor Dante Valentino, and moves for its adoption. And this is, you guys all got emailed about this, right? We had 3 people that had to step out of employment for us for the summer camp, and Dante stepped up and moves for its adoption.
Yes.
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 Scott,
Okay.
is the camp still in need of 2 other people, or they're
No.
making do?
No, they're fine. Yeah, they're fine.
Okay.
All right, Resolution 62 is to introduce local law of the year 2022. So, again, these are kind of long. This is the introduction, and the next meeting we'll have our public hearing. These are follow-ups to local law, Chapter 155, and we'll go through them. But introduce local law of the year 2022. Supervisor proposes the following. And then it would be seconded by, so Supervisor Corcoran proposed the following, seconded by Councilman Malinelli. Introduced the following proposal local law to be known as local law number, and it gives it a number when we actually pass it later on, of 2022, entitled Local Law Number 2022, Local Law of the Town of the Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending various provisions of Chapter 155 zoning of the Marlborough Town Code and follows amending Section 155-1, terms defined to amend definitions for bed and breakfast, short-term rental, Section 155-12, use regulations, Section 155, Attachment 2, Section 155-27, off-street parking, off-street loading, filling and service stations, Section 155-30, multiple dwellings, and adding Section 155-32.4, bed and breakfasts. Now, some of this came about because, we're starting to get the bed and breakfasts and the short-term rentals come, and for some reason, when we did the short-term rental updates to 155, we actually never put a section in to define bed and breakfast, even though we've had bed and breakfast before. There was no, so that's going to be part of it. And some of the wording that was in the bed and breakfast and the short-term rental were contradictory to each other. So we want to define what one is and the other. And just to make it clear, the bed and breakfast is home occupied premises, and 50% of that can be rented out. That's a bed and breakfast. Short-term rental is a property that, or a building that's adjacent to or across the street from your property, and you could rent those individual rooms out for 30 days or less. Is that correct? 30 days or less, Tom? That's correct. So they're 2 different things. One is home occupied, one is not home occupied. So
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Tom, how is the 50% calculated? Is that based on the number of bedrooms or the entire square footage of the home?
Square footage of the home. So that's in front of the planning board for special use. Home occupation of bed and breakfast, owner occupied, up to 50% square footage of the home supplied to the planning board for special use.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it gets confusing sometimes with this. So we're trying to make it easy for applicants when they come in, and for the planning board to make easier decisions when they get these in front of them, so there's no confusion. The less confusion, the less time people have to come back to the planning board, and the less money they have to spend out of their pocket, and the process just becomes quicker. So that's what we're trying to do with some of these updates, okay? Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Marlborough that the town code is amended as follows. Section 1, section 155-1 of the town code of the town of Marlborough is amended as follows. Deletions are stricken and additions are underscored. Bed and breakfast, a home occupation allowing overnight accommodations in residential structures which takes place only in permanently owned occupied structures. This use is limited to 50% of the structure, and meals may be served to guests and businesses. Use is subject to the site plan review by the planning board. Each owner of the bed and breakfast oversight accommodation must obtain an annual operating permit from the building department and must pay related permitting or inspection fees established by the town. These fees from time to time may be updated and changed during the town board. So that whole section wasn't even in our code, so we have to add that so people understand that there are fees associated with having a bed and breakfast. We did put it in short-term rental when we did that law, but we never put it in bed and breakfast to update it. So that's the update. Short-term rental, the rental by a tenant of all or part of the furnished self-contained detached dwelling unit for a period of 30 days or less. The short-term rental unit fee title of which is owned by the person who, 1, owns the fee title, and 2, we struck out permanently resides at the short-term rental unit because that's not what it is, that's a bed and breakfast. Owns a dwelling unit which is next door or directly across the street from a short-term rental unit, and his or her primary residence, the owner, an owner shall not own or have the ownership interest in more than 2 short-term rental units within the town of Marlborough. So basically when we passed this law, at the time too, the board was cognizant of saying, we want to make sure that this doesn't become where people just come in our town and just start buying up houses and they just start renting them out and you never know who's living next to you. So we put in there that you could only own 2 of these, all right? Section 2, section 155-12A4I of the Marlborough Town Code is amended to follow. Deletions are stricken, additions are underscored. Bed and breakfast with the use limit to 50% of the structure. Again, in certain sections of the code, that 50% of the structure was never there. So we're making sure that people understand it's 50% of the structure for a bed and breakfast. Section 3, section 155-12B4I of the Town Code of Town of Marlborough, amended to read the follow. Deletion is stricken, additions are underscored. Bed and breakfast with the use of limit of 50% of structure. And again, the next one is the same thing, 155-12C4N, with use of limit of 50% of structure. And Section 5, Schedule I, Lot, Yard, and Height Regulations of Chapter 155 amend. Attachment 2 of the Marlborough Town Code is to amend to add with public water and sewer and natural gas square feet. A regulations column is inserted in 7,500 in the column for District R. So we have a, I don't know why it's not in here, but we have a whole, in chapter 155 here, there's a whole outline. If you have sewer, if you have water and sewer, and then in this case we're going to add if you have water, sewer, and natural gas, right? And basically it gives you more density, right, Tom, on the property if you have more public facilities uses, right? So it makes sense. You could have less space on a piece of property if you have public water, if you have public sewer, if you have natural gas. So you don't have to put an oil tank outside. You don't have to put, drill for a well. You don't have to have the setbacks from a well to a septic. So you can have less space. So in this case, since we actually, in the Marlborough Hamlet especially, we extended natural gas throughout the district a few years ago, it gave the opportunity for certain properties to have a little more density on their property. So we added that section in the code. Section 155-27B2, the Town Code of the Town of Marlborough is amended to read as follows. Dimensions for required loading berths. Each required loading berth shall be a minimum, so it used to be a minimum of 60 feet long, 14 feet wide, and covered at 15 feet high. We found that some of these applications that have been coming through, It's been causing a lot of confusion because each project's different, right? They're not all the same. So what we're saying is we're giving the planning board discretion to say, look, based on your project and your size and what you're doing, we're going to let the planning board decide what those dimensions are. So we're giving them a little more freeway into what they got to do. So we struck out the minimum 60 feet long, 14 feet wide, and covered and 15 feet high. So determine at the discretion of the planning board, a minimum length may be increased depending on the dimensions of the transportation mode, vehicle, railroad, car, customary serving the building described in Table 2. Section 7, Section 155-30B2 of the Town Code of the Town of Marlborough. Minimum distance between structures in all zones. We already have updated this to exclude, which says except C1. We did that last time, and this time we're adding R. Just so the board members, if you're not aware, R is basically surrounding the hamlets. It's a very limited amount of R. R is pretty much they have sewer, they have water, and so by doing this, it gives more density again on the property for multi-dwelling, multi-unit developments. Because what we have in our other districts is you got to have 1.5 times the height of a structure between structures. So when you're trying to build multiple dwellings on a specific site, sometimes you don't need that. Like in the hamlet of Milton, like Mr. Pollock's doing his project. This was pertaining to him for the C1 district, right? When he was down in the hamlet of Milton, if we kept this code as it was, for every building structure that he built, he would have had to have 1.5 times the distance of his structure, say like 60 feet apart, which in most hamlets, obviously you wouldn't see that. So in our district, it's same thing. If you're going to have like a development that's going to have like, I call it a 3-pod or a 4-pod of units side by side, you don't want to have maybe 50, 60 feet between them. They might be a little closer. So basically, we talked to Pat Hines about this, and he agreed that C1 and R should be exempt from this 1.5 times the height. So we added R in this case. Where are the two more structures on the single lot devoted to a multiple dwelling? A minimum distance between the structures, 1.5 times the height. So C1 and now R would be exempt from that. Section 8, 155-32.4 of the Town Code of Town of Marlborough. Section 155-32 this is the whole section. I'm not going to read all this, but it kind of mimics what the short-term rental law that we passed years ago. It kind of mimics that, but it alters it to fit what the bed and breakfast law should be. But we never actually had a section just specifically bed and breakfast. For some reason, we had a definition of what a bed and breakfast is, but we never had an actual whole section on a bed and breakfast. So I'm not going to read it all. You can read it online if you choose to. And you guys already got all this, but it's a lot. Section 9, if any of these sections of the law shall be held unconstitutional, invalid, or ineffective, the whole or in part, such determination shall not be deemed to affect, impair, and invalidate the remainder of the law. Section 10, pursuant to Section 22 of the State Municipal Home Rule Law, the local law shall modify and supersede any provisions of the state statutes which are inconsistent with the terms of the local law. Section 11, the local law shall be effective upon filing the Secretary of State. Whereas the Town Board has determined that the actions to amend the Town of Marlborough zoning law is a Type 1 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA. Whereas that because only the Town Board can consider and adopt changes to the Town Code, that it is only involved agency, and the Board hereby declares that it is the lead agency for purposes of coordinating the environmental review of the matter pursuant to Article 8 of Environmental Conservation Law. Whereas the Town Board has determined that the amendments must be referred to the Ulster County Planning Board for review and recommendations pursuant to General Municipal Law 239M. Whereas the Town Board refers this matter to the Town of Marlborough Planning Board pursuant to Town Code 155-49. Supervisor Corcoran advised the Town Board that pursuant to the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, it would be necessary to hold a public hearing upon this law. He offered the following resolution, which was seconded by Councilman Molinelli, and move for its adoption. Whereas on July 11th, 2022, Supervisor Corcoran has introduced this local law of the Town of Marlborough to be known as the Town of Marlborough Local Law of the year 2022, and it goes through all the sections 155 again that we just talked about. Resolved that the public hearing be held in relation to the proposed changes set forth in the forms of notice hereafter provided, in which hearing parties and interested citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard. A public hearing will be held on July 25th, 2022. I don't know why they got 2022 twice there, but we have one of those has to be stricken out. At 7 p.m. prevailing time, and notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper, general circulation of the Town of Marlborough, by the clerk at least 10 days before each hearing, that the notice shall be the following form. And so Colleen's office takes care of all that, and this is the public notice. It's basically everything that we just talked about tonight. And the foregone resolution was duly put to vote, which resulted as follows.
Supervisor Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Molinelli.
Yes.
President Zambito.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessa.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, boy. We got one more here. I'm going to try. I know. This one shouldn't be that. Resolution 63 to introduce local law of the year 2022. Supervisor Corcoran proposed to follow, seconded by... Who wants to second it?
I'll second that.
Oh, we got the news popping up here. I don't know where that came from, but... okay, you seconded it?
Sure.
And, okay, local law of the year. Introduce the following proposal local law to be known as local law number blank of 2022, entitled Local Law Number 2022, Local Law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Section 134-2, definitions to amend definitions for lot line change and subdivisions of the Marlborough Town Code. So this is what I talked about when we had the planning board minutes up, about the lot line change and the confusion that kept coming up, and so this is going to address that so we don't have to keep having that. And we don't have to keep asking the code enforcement officer for his opinion. So now it should be clear. Be enacted by the town board of the town of Marlborough that the town code is amended as section as follows. Section 1, section 34-2, the town code of the town of Marlborough is amended as follows. Deletions are stricken, additions are underscored. Lot line change. A reconfiguration of two adjoining lots which will result in the same number of lots which are different geometric configurations. And then this is the change. However, the public hearing requirements of 134-9C of this chapter shall not apply to the consolidation of lots or to lot line realignments affecting no more than two lots in the R, R1, and RAG1 zoning district, and the planning board shall be empowered to issue one unified approval in such circumstances as opposed to preliminary approval followed by final approval. And I know that sounds like Greek, but trust me, they understand it. Subdivision, the division of any parcel of land into a number of the lots, blocks, sites are specified in the chapter with or without streets and highways for the purpose of sale, transfer, ownership, or development. And then that whole section is removed. And the reason it's removed is a lot of it's defined in the other sections. Section 2, if any of these sections of local law shall be held unconstitutional, invalid, or ineffective in the whole and part, such determination shall not be deemed in effect, impair, invalid, or repair the local law. The local law shall be effective upon filing the Secretary of State, whereas the legislation of Type 2 under New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and will not have a significant adverse effect on the environment. Supervisor Corcoran advised the town board that pursuant to municipal home rule, the state of New York, it will be necessary to hold a public hearing upon this law. We offered the following resolution, which was seconded by Council Member...
Still me.
Sessa? Move for its adoption, whereas on July 11, 2022, Supervisor Corcoran has introduced a local law of the Town of Marlborough, which is known as the Town of Marlborough Local Law Number of the year 2022, Local Law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Section 134-2, definitions, to amend the definitions for lot line change and subdivisions of the Marlborough Town Code. And the public hearing is going to be on July 25th, 2022 at 7 p.m. prevailing time. And notice said shall be published in the official newspaper, general circulation, Town of Marlborough, by the town clerk at least 5 days prior to the hearing, and that the notice shall be the following forms. And this is the form, basically exactly what we just talked about, the public hearing, everything in the code, and that's what Colleen has to put out. And the foregone resolution was duly put to vote, which resulted as follows. Yes.
Councilman Malinelli?
Yes.
Councilman Zambito?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessa?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're almost there. What's the matter? So this is the agreement between the town of Marlborough and the Garino family. Patty Brooks and Mrs. Garino were in here a couple times about this, and this is part of the 50-foot extension that they have to put there. And there's an agreement that has to be put in place by the town and them, and there's bonding that has to be put in place by them. And that bonding is going to stay in place until their subdivision is complete. That's what I had put in the contract. It's not going to be a one-year contract. It's going to be until they're complete, and when they're complete, the highway superintendent will review and look at the road. If the road is in good condition, then we will accept it as a town road. If it's not in good condition, then the applicant will have to put the road to town specs again. And that's because if you are building a project and you need this extension, I would assume you're going to have tractor trailers and trucks driving over that road, right? So we want to make sure that the road does not get damaged and we don't accept the road prior to that, or we would have to fix the road. So this is the agreement. Supervisor Corcoran proposes the following. Supervisor Corcoran offered the following resolution, which is seconded by...
I'll second.
Councilman Zambito, who moves for its adoption, whereas Alan C. Garino and Kathleen Garino, the owners, own real property located at 5 Ashland Drive, Town of Marlborough County, Ulster State of New York, described in the deed record of Ulster County Clerk's Office, document 21012-00015-128, in book number volume 5410 of deeds, page 233, and identified as SBL number 108-2.2-9-41.71, the property. And whereas on June 21st, 2022, the planning board of the town of Marlborough granted preliminary and final approval of the owner's plan and subdivided the property into 2 lots upon the conditions set forth in the planning board resolution and approval. And whereas conditions of subdivision approval included the obligation of the owner to improve portion of the town road, known as Ruby Road, the town road, which have not been suitably improved. Whereas the terms and conditions governing the owner's obligation to make the town road improvement are set forth in the agreement between the town and the owner, and the agreement, a copy of which is attached here too. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: the supervisor of the town of Marlborough is hereby authorized to sign the agreement with the owner substantially in the form presentation of the town board. The amounts of performance and maintenance security required under the agreement shall be an amount of $12,646, as noted in the technical review comments of the town engineer, MHE Engineering, DPC. The foregone resolution was duly put to vote, which is resulted in its follow. And again, those, just so you guys know, that bond amount was set by Pat Hines, and that's performance and maintenance bonds. And again, if anything was damaged after they complete and we accept, those bonds could be pulled in to fix that road. So most of the other stuff is generic in the contract. It's all basically the highway superintendent has to agree that it's built to town specs. They have to build it to town specs according to our town code, and yada yada, all those things that are in here. But the main thing is we don't accept the road until the project is complete and the bonds are put in place, and moves for its adoption.
Supervisor Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli?
Yes.
Councilman Zambito?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessa?
Yes.
Okay. There's no more, Eddie, don't worry. That's it. So I just wanted to, I know we're not too bad. I do want to have a quick executive session with the town board. There's going to be no decisions made in this executive session. It's about dockside property and conversations I had with our attorney and engineer today, and I want to up-to-date the board personally on it. But there's no decision. It's more of just an update, and this is attorney and client privilege. I don't want to put it out there just yet, but I want to have a quick executive session, all right? I need a motion to go to executive session.
I'll make a motion to go to executive session.
Second? Second, Dave? Go ahead, Dave.
I'll second.
Oh, okay, we'll be back, but there'll be no decisions made or anything, so if you guys don't want to stay, obviously, you could get out of here.